Good day, fellow agri learners. Today is another lecture on questions, answers, and why on the subject matter, which is crop science. So without further ado, simulan natin sa question number 1. Sabi sa question number 1, which of the statements below is not true? Okay, not true about plant breeding. Letter A, a multidisciplinary approach of improving crop. Letter B, crop improvement is mainly based on the needs of the plant. Letter C, it is an art, science, and business of changing the genetic structure of your plant. Or letter D, all of the above. Now, let's answer this question by analyzing what is being asked. Again, ang tinatanong na sagot dito is the statement that is not true. So, alin sa mga statements dito ang hindi daw totoo? Now, let's start off by understanding yung fundamentals or the concept or the importance of plant breeding. So, plant breeding is what specifically? Plant breeding is a multidisciplinary approach. A multidisciplinary approach that involves several subjects like genetics, biotechnology, agronomy, kaya agriculture per se, and even economics. So hindi lang natin tinitignan yung halaman, hindi lang natin tinitignan yung technical capacity of the plant to reproduce kung ano yung gusto nating kung ano yung gusto nating characteristic na i-produce ng halaman, but rather we are also talking about the genetics of it. What does the people want, right? So it's a multidisciplinary approach. It is an art, science, and business. Totoo kaya na it is an art, science, and business? Yes, because this is true. Because when you do plant breeding, kailangan mo ng skill. So that makes it an art and a science. Kailangan mo ng technical knowledge. And at the same time, it is a form of business because some organizations, some firms, ito yung negosyo nila. To breed plants that will now satisfy, say, the needs of your farmers and the needs of consumers in general. So therefore, we go with point 3. Ano ba yung purpose? Why are we doing plant breeding? If it's a multidisciplinary approach that do not just involve the technical aspect of plant breeding but also yung needs ng society, ano ba yung nagiging precursor? Or let's say, ano yung dahilan kung bakit tayo nagbi-breed ng halaman? Is it for the plant? So dahil ba kailangan ng halaman na ma-breed or dahil ba kailangan ng halaman na ma-breed or dahil kailangan ng tao? So that's the fundamental question that we need to ask ourselves. And given that, kung bakit tayo nagbi-breed ng halaman for crop improvement purposes is mainly because based on the need of the people. Ano ba yung what do we need? Say, ano yung current na consumer demand natin? Yung preference natin sa halaman. Because of our preferences, which is related sa economics, because of our choices, farmers now are pushed to breed to improve their crops. Now, balikan natin yung question. Is letter a multidisciplinary approach of improving a crop, a true statement? So yes, as I have discussed on the previous slide, it is a multidisciplinary approach. It does not only consider the technical aspect of plant breeding for crop improvement, but also the economics of it. How about this? It is an art, science, and business of changing the genetic structure of the plant. Yes, it is. As I have discussed on the previous slide, it is an art and science because we need skill, we need scientific knowledge to do that, and some organizations creates businesses that mainly focuses on changing the genetic structure of your plant. So letter C is a correct statement, therefore it is not the right answer. Now, how about letter B? Sabi niya, crop improvement is mainly based on the needs of the plant. Anong sabi natin dito kanina? Bakit natin ini-improve yung crop natin through plant breeding? Dahil ba sa pangangailangan ng halaman? No, right? Dahil sa pangangailangan ng tao. Because we have some we have some preferences. We have some choices kung ano yung gusto nating bilhin na karakteristik ng halaman. Or let's say, kung kailangan natin ng mas maraming pagkain, we are improving crops to produce more para masatisfy yung demand natin sa pagkain. So therefore, letter B is not a true statement. So if this is not a true statement, then that makes it the correct answer for this question. Kasi then again, ang hinahanap natin is the statement that is not true. So letter B is now the correct answer. Therefore, it just makes sense na letter D, all of the above, is not the correct answer. So ang sagot, letter B. Okay? Number 2 question. Which of the following fruit has a recalcitrant seed? Is it a jackfruit, rambutan, santol, or all of the above? Now, to answer this question, we need to understand and to know what is a recalcitrant seed. What is a recalcitrant seed? So, recalcitrant seeds are types of seeds na hindi nag-survive, they do not survive in drying and freezing kapag kino-conserve natin yung seeds na yon. So when we conserve these seeds, they do not survive if we dry or freeze this kind of seed. They cannot be stored in long periods of time, and they cannot be stored in an environment na mababa yung humidity or mababa yung moisture doon sa environment na yon. So three main characteristics of a recalcitrant seed. These are seeds that they are sensitive to drying. Hindi sila pwedeng ma-dry up. Pag na-dry up yung seed na yan, hindi na siya magagamit. They're also sensitive to freezing or to low temperature. So you cannot subject them to freezing para i-conserve sila because they will be useless after freezing. And they require a moist condition when storing. That means is kapag ini-store natin sila, kailangan medyo mataas-taas yung humidity for the seeds to survive. Now, recalcitrant seeds are very challenging in terms of storage and transport. Bakit? Why do they face challenges in terms of storage and transport? Due to their need for this one, moisture. Okay? It's difficult kasi to maintain a specific moisture when storing and transporting them. It is easier na mag-transport and store ng seeds na kayang ma-dry up rather than seeds na kailangan ng moisture para mabuhay. Examples of recalcitrant seeds includes avocado, lychee, durian, and mangosteen. Now, we have defined what recalcitrant seed is. Ano naman kaya yung kanyang opposite? So the opposite of a recalcitrant seed is called our orthodox seeds. Orthodox seeds, kabaliktaran nga siya ng recalcitrant, they can be dried up, they can have low moisture content, and they can be stored in a freezing temperature for long periods of time na hindi nawawala yung kanyang viability to be planted and makapag-grow ng crop. Okay? So three characteristics of an orthodox seeds as well. They can be dried up and they can be freezed. Even though they can be dried up and they can be freezed and they need very low moisture. And orthodox seeds, mayroon silang tinatawag na long-term viability because of the fact na pwede silang ma-dry and pwede silang ma-freeze. So orthodox seeds, they're easier to store and they're easier to transport. Madalas, they can be kept sa mga seed banks natin for future use. And orthodox seeds, they aid in conservation ng genetic material sa agriculture. And what are some examples of orthodox seeds? You have your maize, yan, yung ating corn. We also have beans. These are orthodox seeds. No, they can be dried up, they can be freezed, and they can survive even with low moisture. In fact, they can survive moisture level na around 5 to 7% lang na moisture. So, ang tinatanong doon sa question is, Which of the following seeds are recalcitrant? So recalcitrant, hindi po orthodox ha. Now jackfruit, what do you think? Jackfruit is, yes, it is a recalcitrant seed. Okay? Rambutan is also a recalcitrant seed. How about santol? Definitely, recalcitrant seed din po sila. So therefore, if A, B, and C is correct, then all of the above is the correct answer. Okay? Let's move to question number 3. Hereditary unit that is transmitted from one generation to the next. Is that a cell, a gene, a nucleus, or a plastid? So ang tinatanong, ano daw yung tawag doon sa hereditary unit that is transmitted from your parent material or from your parent plant to their offspring, from one generation to the next generation? So to answer this question, we need to ask ourselves, for example, dito sa picture na to, what makes a corn corn? Now, when we ask that question, yung sagot doon leads us to the structure of the corn that makes a corn corn. So, a corn is a corn kasi nagpo-produce siya ng ganitong klase ng nagpo-produce siya ng ganitong klase ng structure, let's say, that makes it a corn. Specifically, yung kanyang roots is a type of root that makikita lang natin din sa corn. Yung kanyang leaves, may specific types rin of leaves na makikita lang din natin sa corn. So kapag iba yung structure niya, hindi na siya corn basically. So if we zoom into that specific types of structure that makes a corn corn, then it is important for us now to understand, if we are going to zoom in dun sa structure na yon, babalik at babalik tayo dun sa usapin ng cell, the basic unit of what makes the corn corn. So pupunta tayo sa cell. Now, what is a cell? A cell is a basic structural and functional and biological unit of all of your plants. So all plants are made up of cells. Now, your cell, okay, they contain hereditary materials. So, good, they contain a hereditary material, pero they are not the hereditary units themselves. So, kino-contain lang nila, cells contain these hereditary materials, but they are not the hereditary units themselves because cells carry out various functions other than containing yung hereditary materials natin. So, like functions like transport of nutrients is being done by your cell. Functions like creating structures that would protect your plant is a function of cell. So hindi lang pag-contain ng hereditary material ang trabaho ng cell, marami pang iba. So that makes cell now, although it contains hereditary materials, not the correct answer because medyo broad yung kanyang function. Okay? Now within the cell, you have certain kinds of organelles, di ba, na nasa cytoplasm niya. And isa sa mga organelle na to is yung nucleus. Ano ba yung organelle? Yung organelle is yung structures na nakikita natin doon sa cytoplasm ng cell. Ito yung cytoplasm ng cell. Yung surrounding niya na yan. So within that is an organelle called the nucleus. And in fact, yung isang choice kanina na nagpakita which is plastid is also a type of organelle. Okay? So a plastid, for example, is an organelle that is not involved in the transmission of hereditary information, but rather various functions. So ano yung various functions ng plastids? Photosynthesis, storage of products like starch, and synthesis of many types of molecules. Kasi yung mga organelles na to, may mga kanya-kanya din silang functions within the cell. Therefore, nasabi ko nga, plastids are not involved in the transmission of hereditary material, so they are not the correct answer. So aalisin na natin yan. Aalisin na natin ang plastids doon sa choice. Now, balik tayo kanina doon sa focus ko on nucleus. So within the cytoplasm of your cell, you can find your nucleus. And the nucleus is an organelle that contains the genetic material of the cell or of the plant itself. So itong nucleus na to, they contain what we call as chromosomes. Okay? So let's make it bigger. So they contain what we call as chromosomes, and yung chromosomes na to, they are made of thread-like, coiled thread-like structure, which is called your DNA. So yung chromosome mo, they are composed of a thread, like parang nagbuhol-buhol na thread, and kapag inihimay natin, yung thread na yan, kumbaga, makikita natin yung DNA. Now, DNA is not basically a structure, but rather as a molecule, but rather as a molecule. And a group of DNA is now called your gene. Now, gene, which consists of snippets of DNA, so group of DNA, genes are composed of a group of DNA. They contain now yung instruction for the development, functioning, growth, and reproduction of your plant. So because of that, genes are now the basic units of heredity. So itong genes na to, yan yung naipapasa from the parent to the offspring during reproduction ng halaman. So they carries the information that determines kung ano ba yung trait na magpapakita sa halaman na to. So kumbaga isipin nyo na lang, yung mga halaman, just like tao and animals, hindi tayo mabubuo without this information, without these genes. Because the genes determine what makes a corn corn. It determines yung structure ng roots niya, yung structure ng kanyang leaves, yung structure ng kanyang flowers and fruits. All of these things that is passed down from one generation to another generation is now your gene. Therefore, the correct answer for this question, the hereditary unit that is transmitted from one generation to the next, is called your gene. Okay? Now, the next question is related to our discussion about the relationship between the cell, nucleus, chromosome, DNA, and gene. Pero ang tinatanong dito sa next question naman is, ano daw yung chemical basis of heredity? So chemical basis of heredity, chemical basis of this genetic information that is passed down from one generation to another. Anong tawag mo doon? Now, by process of elimination, we know that cell is not the right answer because cell is not a chemical, but rather a structure. Okay, in fact, it's the basic structure of life. So we are now left with B, C, and D. And in fact, proteins, carbohydrates, and DNA are, yes, they are chemical bases, and they are in the form of molecules. So sasagutin ko na itong tanong na to, ang sagot dyan is DNA. Why DNA? Well, DNA is the answer because DNA is the molecule, so isa siyang chemical basis, isa siyang molecule na that carries yung genetic instructions for life. So siya yung nagko-contain ng information about what makes a corn corn, basically. It is composed of two strands. So itong strands na to, it is composed of two strands that coil along each other. Kaya siya tinatawag, kaya ang DNA, ang structure niya, ang tawag is double helix. Kapag tinanong kayo sa exam, ano ang tawag sa structure ng DNA? It is called double helix. Alisin pala natin yung dash na yan. Okay. Now, ano yung role ng DNA in terms of heredity or yung passing ng information from one offspring, from your parent to the offspring? Well, the DNA contains the instructions needed for your organism to develop, survive, and reproduce. Okay? Itong mga instructions na to, they are passed down from your parent to the offspring, making now DNA. So dahil ang DNA, dahil yung instruction na nanggagaling sa DNA are passed down from parent to offspring, this makes now DNA, dahil molecule siya, as the chemical basis of heredity. Okay? So DNA, nasabi ko kanina, ano ulit yung tawag, ano yung parang shape ng kanyang structure? It is called a double helix. And it is made up of 4 chemical bases. Ano yung 4 chemical bases or nucleotides ng DNA? Nandyan yung Adenine, okay, nandyan yung adenine, ano pa? Thymine, cytosine, and guanine. Now, these four nucleotides, they pair up each other, and kapag nag-pair sila, yan na yung bumubuo nung parang ranks or parang ladder nung double helix DNA mo. So when they pair to each other, sila yung parang gumagawa ng structure na ladder-like within your DNA. Now question, sir, bakit hindi po protein and bakit hindi carbohydrates yung tamang sagot? Okay, so isa-isahin natin. Bakit hindi protein? Ano pa kasi ang protein? Protein is, yes, it is a molecule. It is a complex molecule. And ang pinaka-critical na role niya sa halaman includes some metabolic reactions, no? Yung pagta-transport ng molecules and other else. So in fact, proteins, they are produced by the instruction of your DNA. So hindi protein ang sagot kasi si DNA kapag nagbigay siya ng instruction ay when the hindi protein ang sagot because proteins are based doon sa instruction ng DNA natin. So kapag sinabi ni DNA na ito yung type of protein na dapat i-produce, yan yung ipoproduce na type of protein. Kapag sinabi niya na, hindi, ito yung structure ng protein na gusto kong i-produce, siya yung, kumbaga si DNA yung nagdidikta, anong klaseng protein ba yung ipoproduce natin? And kapag idinikta niya yan, nag-create na siya ng protein. Itong mga proteins na to, may mga iba-iba silang functions. And when they clump up together, they form cells and tissues, and then later on organs that would specifically function para mabuhay yung ating halaman. How about carbohydrates? Why is carbohydrate not the correct answer, even though that is also a molecule? Well, because carbohydrates, ang pinaka-function niyan is to become the primary source of energy for your plant. Okay? In fact, carbohydrates is made up of molecules. Ano yung molecules that creates carbohydrates or elements that creates carbohydrates? It is made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So again, ang pinaka-crucial na role ng carbohydrate is to provide energy and structural support, but they do not carry genetic information. That is why DNA is the correct answer for this question. Now, the next question is also related to our discussion on the structures of hereditary, on the structure of heredity or in the structure of genetics, let's say. So, ang tanong is, what do you call the thread-like structure of DNA coiled around the protein core? So, they are coiled around the protein core found in your nucleus. So, kung nakikinig kayo sa akin kanina, alam na natin yung sagot, right? Ano ba yung nakikita daw natin na structure within the nucleus that is very important sa genetics? Kanina, balikan natin yon. O ano yan? Anong tawag dyan? Anong tawag dyan sa mga maliliit na yan? They are called your chromosomes, right? So the correct answer here is chromosomes. Now chromosomes, they are long thread-like structure, then they are made up of your DNA and some proteins, okay? So yung chromosome na yan, kumbaga para siyang yung sinulid. 'Di ba yung sinulid natin? Bakit hindi makalat ang sinulid, 'di ba? Kasi yung sinulid na to, they are coiled around a specific structure. Kaya organized sila, kumbaga kaya jump pack sila. So yun din ang chromosome. So yung chromosome na yan, may mga thread-like structures diyan na nakabalot lang sa kanya, kaya yung DNA natin is being compacted in the chromosome. Okay? Now, each chromosome is made up of a DNA, okay? And ano kaya kung sa analogy ko kanina na yung sinulid hindi makalat kasi nakaikot siya sa isang structure. Ano rin kaya yung nagbabind sa mga thread sa ating DNA dito within the chromosome? Bakit kaya jump pack yung DNA and hindi siya kalat-kalat sa katawan? Kasi kung hinila natin yung sinulid na yan, pagkahaba-haba yan. Kasi ang DNA, mahabang thread talaga yan. So bakit kaya nako-contain lang siya into a very very small structure called your chromosome? It is because of the protein called histones. Okay? So itong protein na to, which is called histone, siya yung nagbabind ng mga thread na yan para hindi siya makalat. Para hindi siya magulo, just as like your sinulid mo na naikalat lang, hindi na ibuhol-buhol, yung histones na yan, it is also the magnet that gets your thread-like structures together into your chromosome. Okay? So why are the other answers not correct? Tingnan lang natin. Well, cell is the basic structure of life. Again, hindi na yan tama. Kanina, plastid. Napag-usapan na natin to kanina. Plastid is an organelle, yes, within your cell, pero hindi siya involved sa heredity or containing of genetic material. So plastid is not also the correct answer. How about mitochondria? Ano yung basic na definition natin sa mitochondria? Mitochondria is what? It is the powerhouse of the cell, di ba? So your mitochondria, they are organelles and they are termed as the powerhouse of the cell. And ang pinaka-purpose ng mitochondria is to generate energy na gagamitin ng halaman para sa kanyang processes, para mabuhay siya and makapag-reproduce. So ang mitochondria is not the correct answer because they do not contain hereditary material, but rather ang purpose nila is through the production of energy.